Buffalo Brother George, how you doing?
Buffalo Brother John, I'm doing great. How are you?
I am great.
Oh, we are great. We are great.
We are joined today by special guest, Buffalo Bill Nome.
I don't know what you mean. Yes, we use that as a good luck charm in both playoff games this year.
So far, he's
So
batting
far,
a
so good.
thousand. Yeah.
And I decided if the new first lady can wear a hat, you can't see her face. I could too.
But we can still see your face.
I know that's a problem.
That's the bad part. Yeah.
She looks nicer than I do, that's for sure.
Wasn't she a model at one point?
I think so.
Yeah.
If she wasn't, she should have been.
All right. How are you feeling after the game?
John, I'm feeling fantastic. We got past a divisional round playoff game.
Yeah, right.
We got by just like this, but we got by. And you know what I got to say?
They count. They all count.
Here's what I got to say. Who that going to championship game? Who that? Who that? Who that going to championship game? Who that? Who that? That's the Buffalo Bills.
Bill. All right.
We are on our way to Kansas City to face our nemesis, a fantastic team, by the way. Let's give them all the credit they deserve, as well as the Ravens. Both teams are incredible, but the Bills have an opportunity this year. They haven't had one like this in a number of years.
Is there a song? Kansas City, here I come.
Kansas City. Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's the
don't know
one.
what it is. If I
That's
had the
all I
ability,
know. I know.
I'd play it, but I don't
I'm
know.
going to Kansas City. Kansas City,
City,
here
here I
I come.
come. There we go. All right. What did you think of the Bills' performance in the game that they won?
Well, let's talk about that.
Okay.
I want to ask you.
While we're talking, I'm going to play with the gnome.
We heard a lot of noise before this
We
game.
never took the things off the
That's
table.
all right.
Yeah, it's okay.
We heard a lot of noise after the wild card game, approaching the Ravens game, about the Bills just aren't good enough. And, the safeties. We don't have the safeties we've had in the past. It's a problem. It's going to be our weakness on the field.
Oh, are you talking preseason?
We heard it all year long.
Okay.
Well, I'm saying we heard this since the wild card win to the Ravens game, just in that week. The safeties aren't good enough. Baltimore is going to take advantage of those safeties with their tight ends. And what happened? One safety got a interception that was wrapped, and the other safety forced a fumble of Lamar Jackson.
Oh, okay.
In his backfield. And so you know what that means? Who that going to hoop championship? Who that? Who that? We got the weak safeties, and we're going to a championship game.
Yeah, I know. I heard a number of people talking, the national folks talking about Baltimore is the more talented team, more talented team overall. Um, and if you look at Pro Bowl recognition, I suppose that's true.
Absolutely.
No, yeah, I did hear that,
and some of the numbers, but they didn't have the right number, and that was who had more wins, and that was the Bills. And Bills got this at game in Buffalo, and that made a huge difference. That crowd was there. The weather was cold, and I think that cold weather affected Baltimore Ravens. I think it affected Lamar Jackson. As good as he wasn't perfect. And he is a great player, no question about it. But I think that weather hurt him.
That could be. Yeah, he has a history of not rising to the level of the challenge in playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
That is true.
I really believe
it's not the first time
I really believe
had less than a great game.
In his time, like Josh Allen, both of them, their times are going to come. And over the course of their career, I think they're each going to get Super Bowl wins. I really do. And Kansas City is a great team, but let's face it, if you look at their schedule and all the wins that they got by the skin of their teeth, or a guy missed a field goal, or got banked, or got
well, we were going to focus on this plus game, and maybe do another video on the next.
You're kind of complaining about the poor press, aren't I?
No, I don't know where you were going there, but I thought you were giving an evaluation of Kansas City,
Well, in a way, I'm saying as good as their record was, I don't think they're as good as a team as their record shows.
which is exactly what the
And,
national media was saying about the Bills.
and I think the Ravens are actually a better team than their record showed.
Right? Which is kind of what the national media was saying about the Ravens.
Yeah. And you know what? It's the Bills that are going to that championship game.
Yeah.
They were just on them the entire year. But we'll see. We'll see what happens next week. Congratulations to the Ravens for getting this far, and good luck in the future.
Turnovers are they are the equalizer, aren't they? There's sometimes weather, but in this case it was turnovers for sure.
Yeah, yeah, bad decisions, turnovers. The Bills defense, that first half, John, they were an A+.
The Bills defense, yeah, they were in it. Yeah,
They were aggressive. They totally shut down that running game. They made it where Lamar Jackson was able to throw some. He got some passes off and some deep ones. I just gave Rapp credit for getting a touch or getting an interception, but he let guys get behind him.
well, the one touchdown for sure, right? Like that got behind him, and then the other, it wasn't a touchdown, but the deep throw that got him to the two. That was Hamlin.
Was that Hamlin? Yeah. And
at that point, I'm not even sure Rapp was in the game.
They had to bring Cole Bishop in
because the injury,
rookie, and he's not so far yet what we were hoping that we would see. So that was difficult. But the Bills came away.
How about a grade for the offense?
Well, the Bills came away with a 21-10 halftime lead, and both sides of the ball looked fantastic. And then we came out for the second half, and both sides of that ball looked like went back to that week 4 loss to the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay.
They couldn't move the ball. They couldn't get first downs. They couldn't stop Baltimore from running. What's his name? Derrick Henry was able to get some speed up and rip off some plays, almost take one to the house. And Lamar Jackson was able to connect a number of times with his receivers, and they closed the gap. And it came down to a 2-point conversion where Matt Milano was able to get his hand up in the air and deflect a pass
on the first 2
on the first one.
That's right.
And so they were not able to tie it.
Right.
And we ended up scoring a couple of field goals. And that was enough where Baltimore was able to come down. I
believe we got a safety and then a field goal.
Yeah.
Making it, so that's 5. So making it 20, I don't know what that was.
27 to 19.
Okay.
And Baltimore was able to rally with, they got the ball back with about 3.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter in the game.
About 5, a little over 5 minutes.
No, like 3.5. I think.
No, because don't forget, at the end of the game, there was still a minute and a half left. At the end of the game, when they dropped the 2-point conversion, there was still a minute and a half left.
I know. I think Baltimore moved it. They moved it down in like 4 plays. Yeah, they moved it that fast.
Yeah, they had the ball with about 5 minutes to go.
I don't think so.
Okay.
We'll have to rewatch it, but I think it was about 3:30, 3:36 or something like that. And again, we didn't stop the 2-point conversion to tie the game, but their tight end dropped the ball.
Yeah.
He was wide open.
Andrews
backing into the end zone, going to make the catch.
And he's a good tight end.
He could make the catch.
He's a good tight end.
And we got a little Buffalo Bill magic.
Yeah.
Which we haven't seen like that in a while. But some of these other teams have seen that have been good in the playoffs, like Kansas City. How many times did we see that Kansas City magic this year? Incredible.
In the playoffs? Or just throughout the year?
Throughout the year.
Yeah, well, for sure.
And without that, sometimes you got to have a little magic. And we just happen to have it this time. And
Okay.
so I would give the first half to both sides an A plus, and the second half for both sides, John, it's got to be maybe a D.
Okay.
As good as they played in the first half is as bad as both sides looked in the second half. It's like they totally stopped doing what they were doing.
Okay.
And we just had enough juice and a little bit of fairy luck to get it home.
Divine intervention.
Divine intervention for a change, our way.
So for the game, what do you give the defense? Because it's the whole game.
Well, the whole game I got to give them a C.
Okay. How about the offense?
I got to give them a C.
And then special teams.
I got to give the special teams a B. They on the kickoffs when it was our turn to stop the other team. Bass wasn't able to get the ball into the end zone most of the time, and they were able to get the ball on the 2 or 3 yard lines and start running. And we stopped them anywhere from the 33 to the 35 yard line. They were gaining yards. They didn't get to the 40 like we've seen happen this year, but the return team for Baltimore were getting some additional yardage, and they had better field position
Yeah.
than if
Do you have
Bass
any
could have kicked it out of the end
Do you
zone.
have any thoughts on why they chose not to kick it out of the end zone? Because like Tucker did, and Bass did twice, but not the other 4 times. So, any thoughts on why they would choose to field it?
Well, there's only one reason that I could think of, and that is that they get the clock running.
It doesn't affect the clock because
Well,
clock stops with the change of possession anyway,
once he takes possession of it and he starts running, the clock is moving.
and then it right. But once he's down, it stops
That's what I mean. That's all I can think of is they're trying to run seconds off the clock. Unless,
throughout the whole game.
yeah,
Okay.
unless maybe that was part of their
I
plan.
don't know why either. I have no idea what the plan.
The other possibility in
Like
in my mind is Bass couldn't get it done.
as I think of the whenever we kicked off, I feel like they got past a 30 every time they ran it. I feel like they did. So
Yeah,
I'm not sure what the hell they were going for there.
I don't know.
But that's what they did. Now Bass made one field goal or two, right?
Too.
Two. And he didn't make any misses. He didn't have
No,
any
no,
misses today.
all of that was good. The punts that we made
Did
were
you
good.
give us special teams grade? Oh, okay. Yeah, and thank heaven, if we would have had a shanked punt in this game, yeah, that could have been a real difference maker.
Yeah,
Right? Like
if
that.
I didn't say the rank, I would give them a B because they couldn't get them down by like at the 25 or
Okay.
on those kickoffs. Other than that, they played flawless on
Great.
the special teams
Well, I'll tell you, I'm not as harsh on the defense as you. I give the defense an A
for the whole game.
for the game. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Uh, they kept Derrick Henry
Mhm.
contained under 100 yards. They didn't get beat up through the air. And at the end of the game, how did Baltimore have 25 points?
Mhm.
That was enough to win.
Speaking of
But
points,
I was very impressed with stopping on the run, stopping Derrick Henry. They were determined to do it. They did it. I'm giving them credit for that. They didn't. They think they got a sack, one sack. They certainly got the turnover. So, or 2 turnovers or 3 turnovers. So I'm giving them an A.
speaking of the score, you almost nailed it right on the button. You said 27-24. Turned out to be 27-25.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah. I said 31-17.
In the video, that is what I said, huh? Yeah, because later I changed it in my own head to lower scoring.
I said 31-17, and it would be close, but then the Bills would put it away at the end, which is what I expected. And then we made the decision to not tush push twice on the 2 yard line.
Well, let's talk about
We
that.
end up with a field goal, which made it 27 points, is what you said. Otherwise, it would have been 31-19, and I would have been almost dead on. And it turns out that they didn't do that. They had to kick a field
With
goal.
the offensive grade, I'm of two minds
Mhm.
because in our last video, I had said that their best player is Allen, their second best player is probably Cook, and if their third best player is the offensive line.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt like they just depended on Cook, the offensive line, and a little bit of Allen. Like, I would like to see them pass more, but to me, I felt like throughout the whole game, they were going to depend on their strengths.
Hmm.
And in the end, it saw them through. It would have been very interesting if the Ravens had tied the game and they had to score and then kick the ball off, and the Bills had a minute and a half. It would have been very interesting if we have
Hmm.
the offensive weapons to get downfield. Now you only got to get in a field goal position. So first, the Ravens kicked out of the end zone every time. Would they have not done that in the hopes of trying to tackle the Bills earlier, or would they have still let them start in the 30? And then could the Bills have gotten it to the 30, the
Yeah.
opposing 30? Like, could they have gotten those 40 yards?
Hmm.
Then that's what the game would have come. And then would Bass have made a kick. But first and foremost, would the offense have been able to do it? Would they have been stopped? Would they have turned it over on down?
Well,
We don't know.
after leading
It
the
would
whole
have been interesting.
game, the Bills might have been shell shocked at that time and found a way to blow it. Instead, we found a way to win it.
That could be that they might have been shell shocked.
Hmm.
But Allen's been our quarterback for, is it 8 years now?
Yeah.
And from year three on, we've never seen that. We've never seen him be that offense be shell shocked.
No.
So anything can happen.
Hmm.
But I would say for 5 years, that hasn't been, they've never been there. They've been down and come back many times. So I wouldn't, it's not what I would have come to mind. All right. So I gave the offense, I'm going to give them a B for the whole game because the one thing they did was they stuck with their strengths. They had a couple of they had a pass to Cooper was incomplete. They had a pass to Coleman downfield that was a pass interference.
He
And,
got a first down catch too. I mean, on a quick pass over to center.
and they got, well, I'm just talking about okay, I'm sorry, but just throwing deep.
Yeah.
They had those two tries, and they had on the third play of the game, well, third offensive play for the Bills, he hit Shakir,
Hmm.
which one, I don't know, what, 30 yards or so. And that was it. That was their entire attempt to stretch the field in this game.
Yeah. And
So I guess on the one hand, I would like to see more, but I'm not going to criticize them very much for not staying with their strength.
okay. Yeah. The Bills decided that they were going to run. Even in the second half, when we were watching our lead dissipate, and we kept saying, they got to open up this offense and score again and put the pressure back on Baltimore. They didn't do it. They stuck with the run, 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 run. Even when they couldn't run, they were still sticking with the run. And that must have been a game plan decision that they made, and they weren't going to come off it.
Yeah. I think that
Fortunately, it
I
worked
think
out
that's right.
for us, and I think we were this close to blowing it,
There are
but we didn't blow
there
it.
are two notes I'd like to make. One as an
Hmm.
aside. One is you remember when they let go of Ken Dorsey?
Hmm.
Of course, McDermott is asked why. And he really wouldn't give specifics. What he did say is that when he talked to the owner about making that change, they talked about leadership. And this could be this is Brady being a leader. He's determined what this offense is going to look like. And goddamn it, that's what you run.
Hmm.
I didn't get I think you got the feeling. I kind of got the feeling Stefan Diggs had influence with Dorsey. You know what I mean? Like players could influence them, not just, oh, I've got a play that I used to run that I really like. Would you take a look at it? But actually influence the game plan, and we got to make sure we feed him enough.
Hmm.
And Brady ain't like that. He don't. I think that we're seeing it. Not everybody eats. Certainly, when Diggs was on the team last year, they still with the change, they still went to even though they may not call it everybody eats. He went to everybody's getting the ball, and they're not focusing on Diggs.
Hmm.
And they went 5 games in a row, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what McDermott is referring to with this leadership. He's in charge, and God damn it, you're going to run his offense. It's a different offense from what he ran at LSU.
Hmm.
He had Jefferson, he had Chase, and he threw the ball. And what's his name? The quarterback for Cincinnati now, and he threw that ball over the place.
Yeah,
But now this is what I got. I got an offensive line. I got a running back. I got it, and this is what we're going to run. So I just think that's interesting, and I think that that might be where that's coming from.
which is
That
also
liturgy.
it's also a good sign that your offense coordinator can make do with the weapons that he has.
Mhm.
He can
Yeah.
tailor an offense to attack a team based on what he has and not based on what somebody thinks he should do, you know?
But thinks you should, or the success he's had in the past.
Yeah.
If he was out there trying to sling these balls for 20 and 40 yards downfield, or like with Chase, you could throw him the ball short and he
Mm,
could make a play.
yeah.
Jefferson can too, but I watch a lot of SEC. Those guys, they threw the ball downfield. I mean, they were they also ran after catch, but they threw the ball downfield.
Right.
All right, another note. You remember the Rams game?
Sure.
Okay. The Bills at the end of the game were driving down, and they still had all three timeouts, and they get kind of on the goal line. Now, Tom Brady is doing the color analyst of that game,
Mm-hmm.
and to his credit, before the bill, like as the Bills are going down, he's talking about they've got all three timeouts. When they try, they can't run the ball. If you run the ball, you lose so much clock. You have to take a timeout. Don't do it. You got to save those because after you score, you need it makes it so you don't have to do the onside kick. You can kick off. And then if you stop them, you call timeout. You stop them, you call timeout. You stop them, you call timeout. They got a punt, and you've preserved clock. So don't waste your timeout. Don't lose your timeouts now. And he kept harping on that. And then just before they called that faithful run play that they didn't score on, and McDermott has to call timeout,
Mm-hmm.
Brady repeats it. You can't run here. You're going to throw this ball three times, try to get a touchdown, and if you can't, you kick the field goal. And of course, Brady tries to run. Brady calls a running play. It don't work, and they got to call timeout. In this game, when the Bills had was it a goal line? They were first and goal, second and goal, I guess, from the three or from the two.
It was third and
Romo,
goal from the.
okay, third and goal from the Romo is calling saying it's automatic. To his credit, in the pregame show, he had talked about one of the advantages that the Bills had over the Ravens was that Allen can do that tush push. He can do quarterback sneak. And then if they have third and second, third and one, fourth and one, it's automatic. They're going to get it. So in the game, when that situation occurred, he was like, okay, just tush push it twice. Tush push it once, and if you don't get it, tush push it again because it's automatic.
Mm-hmm.
That's your best play. And in both cases, in Brady in the game and in Tony Romo, I give them credit that going into those scenarios, they they called their shot
Mm-hmm.
before it happened, and then they weren't Monday morning quarterbacking. They called it ahead, but in both cases, the the team was not in on their decision making. The team had their own decisions, called their own plays, and just because it was different than what Tom Brady would have done or what Tony Romo would have done doesn't automatically make it wrong. As it turned out, kicking a field goal worked out for them. It worked out for them in this game. And after losing yards on the first play, kicking the field, then it was like they're saying that was done fourth and goal. So they went ahead and kicked the field because on the first run, the Allen run, he lost yardage. But it gets fans up in arms, I think. In the post game show of both games, fans are calling in. And they're basically in the LA Ram game, they almost started with fire McDermott because he wasted a timeout and he let them not, you know what I mean? He
Yeah.
wasn't on top of it,
The clock
making sure
management.
clock management. You got to throw here. Well, Tom Brady, and I think New England and Belichick would have actually thrown three times. They've worked that out they've worked that scenario in their heads and talked about it many times, and they had a game plan for that scenario. The Bills' game plan was different, and as Tom Brady was maybe the second best quarterback ever, they got a different quarterback, and they got to do it their way. whatever the hell that is. Unfortunately, in both cases, it really didn't work. In both cases, they did something different. And in LA, now they score, but they have to try an onside kick because it didn't work out, and they lost that game. This game it worked out for them; they won. But boy, I'm hearing in the post game press conference, the post game show on the radio, people just keep calling in. They're very happy to be going on. They're happy overall, but they're like, why didn't they push it twice? Why didn't they touch? As if when have you ever seen Buffalo push twice? Now sometimes you don't because you make it. I get it. But when have you ever seen them do that? That just isn't
Well, it's
their thought
pretty
process.
rare because they usually get it the first time because they don't start it from 2 yards out.
Yeah, they
So
generally don't only do it with the 1 yard. That's true.
yeah.
So two and out. According to McDermott afterwards, he said they had talked about his coaching staff. If it was 1 yard, you go for it. Fourth down, fourth and whatever. 1 yard, you go for it. 3 yards or more, you don't. And then if it's 2 yards, you make a decision based on game situation.
Mm-hmm.
And effectively, it was then when it was fourth down, it was 3 yards. So he kicked it. But I've never like the vitriol that you get.
Well, I think they did the right thing after they didn't do the touch push the first time, which is what I think they should have done.
Yeah, yeah.
But since they didn't do it and they lost a yard, and then they had to do it.
Now I'm with you. I would have been perfectly happy with a tush push if he doesn't get in, as long as he got forward. Some prizes you try to get.
Yeah.
With that said, on fourth down, I also would have been perfectly happy if they go for it. Not necessarily a tush push. I was more in favor of moving the not moving about rolling him out and letting him throw or run it himself. Try to juke somebody and run.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not taking the ball out of his hands then and putting it in Bass's foot. But it worked out. So that's what matters.
Well, excuse me. When they didn't get that tush push and they decided to kick the field goal, they had to. It was fourth down. The field goal would put them up by 8 points with just a few minutes left in the game. And at the very worst that could happen is Baltimore could tie it up. And the Bills would still get it back with an opportunity to try and win it. So they had to kick that field goal.
Okay, well, since we're on that subject, now this isn't what happened.
Mm-hmm.
They did. They kicked a field goal. Look, you're a defensive coach.
Mm-hmm.
He's a head coach. Those are his guys. I mean, not just they're all his guys. That defense is his guys, his scheme. I think you go for it and you expect to score a touchdown there. But putting it in Allen's hands. If it doesn't happen and they stop him, they've got to go 97 yards, 98 yards. If your defense can't stop them, maybe you don't deserve to win. Plus, if they go 97 yards, you got all your timeouts. You can try to preserve clock if they get into the red zone or whatnot. If your defense can't stop them, then you still have a chance to put your offense out there and see what they can do. So I was okay with them going for it, but they didn't.
Yeah. Well, I looked at it as like by going up by 8, you're hedging your bet. You're not going to lose on a touchdown. And that's the way I would have played it. And maybe you would have played it differently, but I would have played it by taking the points and trying to get this game over with and force.
Well, it wasn't like you got the point. You did get the point. The game was far from over.
It was just a minute, and
no, it was far from over in that the Baltimore Ravens were going to have something.
The Ravens could not take the lead.
No,
so
but the game wasn't over.
So that's the gamble I would have taken, and
that's what McDermott did.
Yeah,
and that's what McDermott did. Yeah,
and it worked out. You know what?
You got anything else about the game?
At this point, it's too late in the year to say now let's go back, watch the film, and learn from it. You're going into the AFC Championship game. You got what you got. You are who you are at this point.
Yeah, you are who you are from training camp. I mean, they brought in one guy, and that was Cooper, when they really acknowledged that they had built an offensive or wide receiver room that was deficient. They
Didn't have
finally acknowledged that, and
our wide receiver room is like the island of misfit toys,
oh,
and but we are who we are, and this is what we got, and we're not going to go back and learn from it. Let's just go play, let it all out, and play the Kansas City Chiefs, and let's go win that game.
all right.
And coaches, it'll be on your shoulders to make the decisions in those uh, in those time periods where your back is to the wall, you're not sure which way you should go. That's what you get paid for. That's why you're there, and you got to make the right decisions. So I think the Bills did a great job. We got here, we had some magic, and let's go make some more.
All right. Go Bills.
Go back. We'll go Bills. We'll see you later this week.
Yeah, we hope to do another one just be like, oh, well, one of the things that you had mentioned was in a couple of days we'll have a better idea with the injuries.
Yeah, we know that what's his name's got is in
Concussion?
concussion and
Benford, Benford?
Benford. Yep, and we need him, and and so let's find
Hip,
out.
Raps hip.
Wraps hip wrap.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll see these guys practicing. Like Ray Davis had the concussion protocol last week,
Mhm.
but through the week he was limited practice. And so we had some suspicion that he might be able to play because he wasn't just sitting out. He was actually out on the field with the guys.
Our leaders of this team were out last year at this time of the year, but now they're back, and you got real veterans like we said. Milano got his hand up at the right time, stopped a 2 point conversion. Um, Damar Hamlin caused an fumble. Von Miller, although maybe he didn't make a sack or anything, as a veteran, he found himself in the exact right place to be from during that because of that fumble and was able to pick it up and lumber it down to Baltimore's 19-yard line.
Mhm.
He's a veteran. He knew where to be and he did a great job. So these are the guys we need on our field to compete against Kansas City Chiefs. So let's get them healthy and let's get out there and let's sing it. Who dat? Who dat going to championship game? Who dat? Who dat? I'm ready.
All right, guys. We'll see you later in the week.
Okay, bye.